All right, for this segment, I had to endure one of the most embarrassing, cringe-worthy videos I've ever had to edit. But I did it for you. But if I gotta suffer through it, so should you. So let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith, and welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. First, I want to talk about what I'm rocking today, one of my own t-shirt designs. Right there, it makes a statement about socialism without saying it, but I think people get the gist when they see the little skull. That socialism equals death. Death. But really, it is. It sucks. Excuse me. I have a black version of this t-shirt, and there's a little more wording to it. This is socialism, emptying wallets and filling graves. So I was wearing it on Saturday, the day before Father's Day, and I was at the Nissan dealer getting the oil change into my car, and I was speaking to one of the service guys, and then a mechanic came out of the back room, walked up to me and gave me the fist bump, and you know, guys get fist bumps, you don't even know why. It's just a testosterone thing. You wouldn't ask any questions. See the fist up, put it up. Anyway, so I was like, oh, what, you like the car? He said, nah, man, I'm really digging the t-shirt. And so that was just a reminder to me that I keep promising to open up my webpage so I could sell t-shirts. Because I have other designs, political, religious, things like that. I think that I hopefully speak the truth, because I think that's one of the things our society needs. We need to have more people willing to speak the truth. So t-shirts could be a little conversation starter. I wear them in really leftist areas in Georgia and Atlanta, and sometimes you get a scowl. Sometimes you get a little head nod, you know, which is actually kind of surprising because, again, I wear them almost exclusively in really left-wing areas just to get a little response, and I'm surprised by the responses. Most of the time, they're very positive. It might be the fact that I'm like 2 and change and 6'2", so I'm not going to get too many people wild and out coming up to me. But yeah, again, most of the interactions are positive. So anyway, enough about me trying to sell some merch. Let's get right down to it. So this video is basically about Van Jones, who's a regular CNN contributor, and he's there. This is back in, I think, 2020. It's either before or just after Joe Biden was inaugurated, and it just shows an emotional, pearl-clutching Van Jones, who's all choked up about Trump not being there to give him, you know, wet dreams or nightmares or night terrors or whatever the hell. So, and it's about him embracing Biden and the new administration of adults that are going to be back in the White House. And I just want to let you know, even though what I'm going to show you is back in 2020, right now, because I don't know when you're going to be watching this. You may watch it tomorrow, you may watch it 10 years from now, but it's 2022 now. We've had 18 months of Biden, and it hasn't been all that great. But I'll get into that at the end of the video, and I'll let some of the video. It's because it's not just Van Jones. It does sort of a rough. I need to really work on my editing. It works. It's like a rough transition to go from Van Jones to what's going on in some of the bigger issues of 2022, which I think is going to affect the next 2 elections. It's really bad. So let's get down to it. But one thing I just want you to notice, just listen carefully, you know, after, just go past the emotional manipulation and the tears and a little snot running out of his nose. It's not really snot, but he is crying. Just watch Van Jones. Listen to what he's saying, and listen and observe what's missing in what he's saying, and how he, at the very end, he lets the cat out of the bag, and then what comes after, and see the big difference. And I'll point it out just in case you missed it. So here we go.
Van, what are your thoughts?
It's well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Tell them the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I had to stop for a moment. This is hard to watch. It's hard to watch a grown man freaking cry over someone he's never met and couldn't remember him. If Joe Biden had ever seen Van Jones, he would think he's a bald. He would think that Obama just shaved his hair, and you guys, you look the same with the bald hair and bald head and well-spoken, clean-shaven black man. He would still think he's talking to Obama. But anyway, all right. Sorry, I had to break it up because it's hard to watch. This is painful.
Reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. I can't breathe. That wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up, you're getting these tweets, and you just don't.
There we go. There we go. Right there. He let the cat out of the bag. It's the tweets. But we'll continue. And sorry about this edit. It's kind of rough. Try to be funny, and I need to be a little smoother.
Several months later.
And now we're also seeing workers who are pushing back about actually returning to the office. The U.S. government is predicting the average household is going to spend hundreds of dollars more on gas this year.
It seems twisted that getting to work is financially crushing Liz and Scott Angstad. Their combined commute more than 500 miles each week through New Jersey, with Scott paying $6.19 a gallon for his diesel-powered pickup. Their monthly gas bill has nearly doubled in a year, now over $1,000.
We've cut back in our groceries and what we eat. We cut back more than half of what we're going to travel this summer. We wouldn't think that we would be talking about money every single day.
At some California stations, the price is higher than the federal minimum wage.
Those high gas prices and everything else that costs so much right now is hitting San Diegans hard. The CEO of the San Diego Food Bank says inflation is driving food distribution back to the levels that we saw during the pandemic.
It's getting really hard.
Celiana Calixto is a mother of three.
I mean, is there an option of either getting gas or getting snacks that they might want?
She and her husband both work full-time jobs, but their combined incomes are not enough to always put food on the table.
Right?
Parents across the U.S. are scrambling to find baby formula. Empty store shelves, higher prices, and retailers limiting sales have made anxious parents even more nervous about their kids' health.
The current formula shortage has real consequences. Babies and children are suffering. Parents are nervous wrecks trying to get this. I've heard stories from pediatricians who have seen malnourished children.
It's kind of like a perfect storm of so many terrible things happening, and number one, should never have happened in the first place, and we could have absolutely prevented it.
Yep, she's absolutely right. Even though she's isn't speaking about what I'm speaking about, I thought I'd just leave it there because I thought I'd end the video there because that's true. A lot of things are happening. It's like the perfect storm, and it could have been avoided. So, if you haven't noticed the contrast between the pearl clutching Van Jones and everything that came after it, I'll point it out. So, Van Jones, if you notice, there were no facts cited during his little, his boo-hooing moment. No facts cited, no numbers thrown out, nothing quantifiable at all. It's just how he felt. One of the things he felt was that it's so much easier to be a parent now. Okay, and you notice in the video they talked about the formula shortage. So you have people with infants who can't feed their children. That's a little harder to be a parent. I think under Joe Biden, I think it's become hard. I think some of the, I don't know if you heard about it, but the attack on parents who don't want their children to be exposed to CRT in schools, the attacks on parents who don't want adults having sexual conversations with their children in secret, that happened in Florida, the Parental Rights Protection Act, all those things makes it a little harder to be a parent now that Joe Biden's in office. And back to the baby formula shortage. I am so glad, I'm so grateful that my kids are grown and I don't have to worry about that. But I really do feel for all the people who, the parents, this may be their first child or whatever, and they grow up in a world where the first thing that happens, the parents have to worry about getting formula for their kid. People have callously said, well, just breastfeed. Not every woman can breastfeed, to be honest. So that's just a very callous thing to say. They would like to, but some just simply can't for whatever reason. They probably expected that the formula would be there because it's always been there. We never had these supply chain issues under any president where we've had baby formula shortages, and that's all under Biden. That's Biden's fault because Abbott Labs, who created there was a problem with Abbott Labs. They supposedly had some sort of contamination in one of their lines of baby formula, and FDA shut it down. Biden was warned that this was going to cause a cascade effect with the and back up baby formula supply for months. He didn't do jack until the last minute. They're always in reaction mode. They're never proactive at all. The Biden administration always behind the ball. There's something terrible to be behind the ball on. I know, look, not everyone, children just can't take any baby formula. So if your child's specific baby formula is out, you're screwed and your child is screwed. You can't water it down. Children at a very young age, their brains are developing. The brain needs a lot of calories to develop, and if you short them on calories, it can have a long-term effect on the cognitive development of your child. So it's nothing to mess around with. I'd want to stab somebody, man, if I walked into a store and couldn't get baby formula for my kid, and I knew it was because of something that the current administration neglected to do. You couldn't talk me out of, at the very least, going to the polls and voting against these MFers who caused this. So, on one hand, and then you have the gas crisis, where, in California, a gallon of gas is more than the minimum wage. People aren't going to go to work at that point. So on one hand, you have Van Jones, who gave the whole freaking game away, who let the cat out of the bag by really just saying the whole biggest problem was the mean tweets. Now, you probably have heard Republicans joke around and conservatives kind of say, hey man, hey California, you got $8 gas, but you don't have mean tweets anymore. Hey New York. And you probably, I hope you're enjoying the fact that you had high crime and you got probably $8 gas as well, and baby formula, but hey, no more mean tweets, right? So you probably heard that joke, but it turns out to be true. Really, all they had against him was mean tweets, because it wasn't the Russia collusion thing, because that blew up when the Mueller trial was over. That was gone. There's really nothing going on in Ukraine. They just impeached him over it. Nothing stuck. Nothing that the Democrats said about Trump ended up being true. Other than, sometimes his tweets could be a little callous. That's all they had, and that's all they went with. And that's why he's not in office anymore. According to the Democrats, they unelected him because of the mean tweets. But look what you got. Look at what you have. You have sky high gas and energy prices, and they're going up all the time. You have you have inflation from like the Carter era. It's an embarrassment, an international embarrassment. Biden can't speak anymore. He's lost his ability to communicate. He's fallen off of non-moving bicycles. It's just an embarrassment. Biden is everything that the left claimed Trump was and worse. So again, you got Van Jones, the pearl clutcher with his feelings versus people with real quantifiable problems. That is the big difference between the left and the rest of reality and humanity in America. The left lives in a fantasy world where their feelings mean more than reality. You should ignore reality to spare them and their precious feelings. And again, illustrated in Van Jones. But you look at it this way. Trump had 97% negative press coverage for the entire time he was in office. And yet, he was able to increase his support by his second campaign, his second run at it, by 10 million. That's almost unheard of. Presidents in their second term normally don't get, they actually lose support. They lose voters. They don't gain them. And the other thing to look at that the press doesn't like talking about is he got the most black and Hispanic votes out of any Republican in decades. And that's again with them calling him constantly, he's a racist, he's a racist. You know, hear that all the time. Van Jones suggesting it too. But a large amount of minorities don't believe it anymore. In fact, Biden is losing minorities by record numbers for a Democrat. He's actually whittled black support down to 52%. But that's just for Joe Biden. Trust me, they're going to vote for him anyway. They're going to vote for whoever the Democrats put out. But at least for now, he's pushed down black support to 52%. Now, Hispanic vote, Hispanic support is 26%. I don't think that's ever coming back. I think the Hispanic community, they never liked the Latinx crap. The whole LGBTQ grooming thing, I think really woke them up and turned them off. And I think the open borders aren't helping either. They don't like it. I'm from a family of immigrants. My wife's an immigrant. Legal immigration, immigrants. I can't speak. Legal immigrants cannot stand illegal ones. When you had to wait 5-10 years to become a citizen and you see people just coming across the border, you get pissed. So I think it's hurting the Democrats, the open borders, more than they can imagine. They're turning even the border counties in Texas that used to be true blue, they're going red, because again, they're tired of it. So I think there's some hope out there. The black communities also, the black men are leaving the Democrat Party in droves. The 20%, between 17 and 20% of black males voted for Trump, 8% for black females. So both of those numbers went up. But it's black men who are really getting tired of what the Democrat Party is, which is it's the image of the suffocating mother. The mother who doesn't want to see you grow up and leave the house. She wants you to constantly depend on her and live behind her skirt. And guys don't like that. I think they're rebelling against it. And Van Jones represents a victim of the suffocating mother image that is the Democrat Party and that is dominating right now the black community for the last 50 years. It's a matriarchy and it's not working. So I could see young black men, I'm raising one, they're not going for it anymore. They're going independent, they're going libertarian, they're going conservative, but they're not going Democrat. So I think that's part of the reason why the Democrat Party is to make up a new victim group, because the Hispanics have abandoned them and black men are leaving them too. So that's why they come up with a transgender thing, because they need a new victim group. Let's see how long it works, because I think that's going to end up blowing up in their faces too. But I'll leave it at there, a little more positive note. So at this point, I'd like to know your opinion. So comment, like, share, and subscribe.